President Rodrigo Duterte approves the extension of the enhanced community quarantine in the National Capital Region and other cities and provinces until mid-May. COVID-19 moderate and low-risk areas to be under general community quarantine starting May 1st. Manila City authorities apprehend 82 violators amid the 48-hour hard lockdown in Sampaloc district. Mass transport in Metro Manila remains suspended under extended ECQ. First two patients injected in a COVID-19 vaccine trial in Oxford University. A Syrian refugee in East London joins the army of cleaners in a local hospital treating COVID-19.
Metro Manila and some cities and provinces in Luzon and Visayas and Mindanao will be under extended enhanced community quarantine until mid-May. Some areas, however, will be subject for re-evaluation by the national government. Rosalie Cos has the details why.
President Rodrigo Duterte has approved the recommendation of the Interagency Task Force Against Coronavirus to extend the enhanced community quarantine in high-risk areas until May 15, 2020. Red category or high-risk areas include regions or provinces with faster doubling rate of COVID-19 cases and limited healthcare capacity.
Kung red po, ang ibig sabihin niyan ay acceleration. Ibig sabihin lumalala or malala pa rin ang situation. Either maraming kaso ng COVID o kulang or hindi sapat ang hospital equipment.
The extended EZQ covers Metro Manila, Regions 3 and 4A, and other provinces. In Region 3, Bataan, Bulacan, Nueva Ecija, and Pampanga are included. In Region 4A, Batangas, Cavite, Laguna, Rizal, and Quezon. In Region 4B, Oriental Mindoro and Occidental Mindoro. And in Region 5, Albay and Catanduanes. Meanwhile, Benguet in the Cordillera Administrative Region, Pangasinan in Region 1, and Tarlac and Zambales in Region 3 are subject for re-evaluation. That means the high-risk assessment may change before April 30. In Visayas, the high-risk areas are Antique, Iloilo, Cebu Province, and Cebu City, but the government will recheck their reports on cases. The same goes for Aklan and Capiz provinces. In Mindanao, the EZQ is also extended in Davao del Norte and Davao City, while Davao de Oro's report is subject for national government's rechecking. The Duterte administration reminds the public to expect stricter implementation of EZQ in high-risk areas until May 15.
Patuloy yung pag-aaresto at panghuhuli ng ating kapulisan doon sa mga violators na lumalabas na wala naman talagang authority para lumabas. Para masigurado lang natin na ang mga tao ay nasa loob ng bahay, dito sa loob ng ECQ.
All high-risk areas will be subject for the national government's re-evaluation if the EZQ will be maintained in their areas after May 15, 2020. Rosalie Cos, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
While Metro Manila and other areas with high rate of coronavirus infections will experience extended ECQ, elsewhere it will be a general community quarantine that must be observed after April 30. That includes restricted mall openings. Rosalie Cos returns to explain why.
The national government considers provinces and regions with minimal cases of coronavirus disease as low to moderate risk areas. According to the IATF against COVID-19, general community quarantine or GCQ will be implemented in those areas from May 1, 2020. In low-risk provinces, if no deterioration of cases occur by May 16, relaxed GCQ will be implemented. That means they will gradually shift to normalization or the so-called new normal. For areas under general community quarantine, workers in essential sectors will be allowed to go out and work in phases. But for individuals 0 to 20 years old and 60 years old above, as well as those with high health risk, the stay-at-home order remains. Restricted mall openings that cover non-leisure shops would be allowed, while mandatory temperature check, wearing of masks, and alcohol use must be done. A limited number of people, particularly those with age 21 to 59 with ID and not sickly, will be allowed to go inside. Priority and essential construction projects will resume with minimum health standards, such as physical distancing, and barracks will be provided for workers. Some public transport modes will also be allowed to operate at reduced capacity. The local government units should enforce curfew at night for non-workers. But before these sectors reopen, the IATF said,
Kailangan ay ma-comply niya yung tinatawag natin minimum health standards.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
For areas to be under general community quarantine, non-essential activities like leisure, amusement, and gaming events remain prohibited. Leah Ilagan reports why.
Several areas in Luzon will be under General Community Quarantine or GCQ beginning May 1, 2020. The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases explains that GCQ will be more relaxed than ECQ, but several limitations will remain. Those include prohibition of religious gatherings, large activities, concerts, parties, and entertainment events just like in the ECQ. During weddings and funerals, only the immediate family are allowed to attend. Despite restricted opening of malls, restaurants will remain for takeout and deliver orders only.
Mga non-essentials like kasi hindi sa related sa health at saka sa food, mga school institutions, leisure, amusement, and gaming and fitness industry, tourism, kasama na rin dito sa all gatherings, religious and conferences.
Meanwhile, the Armed Forces of the Philippines will deploy additional 2,000 military personnel in Metro Manila for the ECQ extension.
Maganda po ang mga deployments natin, tinutulungan po natin ng ating PNP, though the PNP still remains the primary enforcer. Ang ginagawa po ng ating mga military ay nagsusupport po sa ating PNP.
The PNP is ready to implement changes with personnel deployment such as rotation of duty with the aim to sustain another ECQ extension for 15 days. Leah Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Barangay Cruz Naligas in Quezon City imposes a barangay lockdown despite being COVID-19 free until today. Asher Cadapan Jr. explains why.
More and more communities in Metro Manila are adopting the implementation of barangay lockdown. In Quezon City, residents of Barangay Cruz Naligas are preparing for its enforcement starting tomorrow. Although residents may still buy from stores in neighboring areas from 5 a.m. until 6 p.m., they will no longer be allowed to go in and out of their barangay.
Nag-i-imbak na po ng pagkain, tapos nag-withdraw na po para may pambili ng stock po.
Ito, bibili ng gamot ng anak ko ngayon para hindi nalalabas bukas kasi maganda talaga susunod para isa ikabubuti ng aming barangay.
According to Barangay Chairperson Maria Maurina Magalong, they opted to implement a barangay lockdown to protect the residents from the pandemic, although their community remains COVID-19 free.
Bagamat tayo po ay COVID-free pa rin sa ngayon, hinihiling na rin po ng ating lungsod na tayo po ay magkaroon po ng barangay lockdown. Nang sa gayon ay mas lalo po nating masecure na tayo po ay hindi mapasukan ng virus dito sa ating pong barangay.
Officials have yet to announce when the lockdown will end. Asher Cadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Authorities in Sampaloc, Manila have apprehended 82 violators during the ongoing hard lockdown. Mayor Isko Moreno Domagoso continues to warn violators. Harleen Delgado reports why.
This section of Trabajo Market used to have the busiest streets in Sampaloc, Manila, but today it was a different sight. Today marks the first day of the 48-hour hard lockdown in the district after Sampaloc recorded the highest number of COVID-19 cases in the city with 110 confirmed cases and 166 suspect cases. As of 4 p.m. today, a total of 82 violators were apprehended by the Joint Task Force and CR for violating the lockdown. UNTV News also helped the authorities by deploying one of its drones to rove around the district bearing the recorded announcement of Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso.
Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso na patuloy na nagpapaalala sa inyong lahat na wag mo muna sana tayong lumabas sa inyong mga tahanan sa kabuuan ng 48-hour hard lockdown.
According to Mayor Dumagoso, violators will face charges.
Malulungkot ako para sa kanila kasi magkakaroon sila lahat ng kaso. Bukod sa hirap na dinaranasan sa mga basketball court, magkakaroon pa sila ng record.
Those apprehended are being held at 4 covered courts in Sampaloc. Meanwhile, the Sampaloc police station has clarified its use of tasers to violators.
Yung paggamit ng taser is just one form of immobilizing or yung part ng self-defense ng kapulisan when they are under attack. No? Hindi naman ito yung may nakita ka, iti-taser mo na kagad. Hindi naman po ganun yun. Hindi po literal na ganun.
Frontliners from the Hospital ng Sampaloc and the Manila City Health Departments also fetched targeted residents who underwent tests at the General Licerio Geronimo Elementary School. The Manila City Health Department says as of 12 p.m. in the afternoon, 66 persons underwent swabbing, while 236 persons underwent the rapid antibody test. The city plans to test 1,000 individuals in the district during the 2-day lockdown. Jorlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, Barangay 178 Zone 19 in Macariban, Pasay City has been on lockdown for 5 days now. This measure is imposed because of a large number of violators of the enhanced community quarantine protocols. More than 40 police and military personnel are deployed there to enforce the lockdown restriction. Residents are allowed to buy their necessities for the day only between 3 and 6 p.m. Before the police and military presence, barangay authorities were able to apprehend around 15 to 25 violators per day.
Kami nagpapatay ng aso, kung ano-ano mga ginagawa ng mga tao, nakatambay. Iba naman, ikot ng ikot, naghahanap ng bibili ng droga. Gihintay ng bibili ng droga, pupwestuhan. Problema talaga to siya mga bata, yung mga anak nila pinababayaan pa dyan sa labas. Nightmare talaga. Grabe.
For provinces that will transition to General Community Quarantine or GCQ starting May 1st, there is no room for complacency. According to National Action Plan Against COVID-19 Chief Implementer Carlito Galvez, other countries like Singapore have experienced a second wave of the coronavirus pandemic. During GCQ, some sectors will be allowed to go back to work or operate again, including businesses and services. How this will be done abruptly. Local governments are tasked to prepare their health system to prevent a relapse or severe cases after an improved situation in their areas.
Incremental, kailangan phased at saka yung tinatawag na gradual.
And now let's take a peek at the updated tally of coronavirus cases around the world. The COVID-19 pandemic has now reached a total of 2,716,917 confirmed cases in 185 countries and region. The fast-spreading disease has also claimed more than 190,000 lives, while more than 744,000 patients across the globe have recovered from the disease. The United States of America now has almost 870,000 confirmed coronavirus positives. Of that number, 80,934 have recovered. Spain follows with 213,024 reported confirmed cases. Italy, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom and Turkey all have more than 100,000 reported positive cases. Turkey, the country outside the USA and Europe with the highest number of reported cases, has also surpassed the 100,000 mark, while Iran, China, and Russia are also among the countries most hit by the pandemic caused by the new coronavirus. Meanwhile, the Philippines, as of 4 p.m. today, has a total of 7,192 confirmed COVID-19 cases. This after the DOH reports 211 new cases. We have lost the lives of 477 patients, while our gallant medical frontliners have helped at the total of 762 patients recover from the deadly respiratory disease. Local governments may no longer decide whether to lift or implement enhanced community quarantine on their own beginning today. Jun Soriao explains the reason why.
The national government has decided which provinces will be under extended enhanced community quarantine in Luzon as well as in Visayas and Mindanao. Because of this, governors and mayors are no longer allowed to make separate declarations if the ECQ will be implemented or lifted in their localities.
So ngayon po, hindi na po pwede na mag-unilateral declaration ang isang local chief executive na ilalagay niya ang isang probinsya sa ECQ. Ito ay kailangang aprobado ng IATF.
Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte immediately seized her plan to lift the ECQ in Davao City, scheduled on April 26.
So, dili sa modified community quarantine na for Davao City, madiretso ta sa ato ang enhanced community quarantine until May 15 as ordered by the interagency task force on COVID-19 from the national government.
Secretary Anyo added, it is in line on the incubation period of the virus. That's why the ECQ is implemented at the high-risk areas until May 15.
Habang ina-assess natin for 2 weeks, nasusunod din yung panuntunan natin na incubation period para nakalinya tayo at mas madali tayo makatake ng actions.
In the following days, the interagency task force will release omnibus rules that will be followed by local government units. Jun Soriao, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Several industries related to food manufacturing in areas that will be under general community quarantine will be allowed to open 100%. Dante Amento reports why.
Beginning May 1st, industries related to food supply chain in areas that will be under general community quarantine will reopen their doors. These include food manufacturing companies, including ink production as well as packaging producers. Raw materials industry like agriculture, fishery will reopen too. Forestry, water, energy, internet, and telecommunications companies are also allowed to reoperate. These industries can open 100%.
Actually, itong Category 1 ay nagpa-function ito kahit sa ECQ, limited workforce nga lang. Pero ngayon, pwede na silang 100%. Agriculture, fishery, and forestry, sa mga food manufacturing and entire supply chain.
Meanwhile, other manufacturing industries like companies in the line of electronics and exports products may reopen from 50 to 100%. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, areas that will be under general community quarantine may expect mass transport to reoperate soon. Joanne Nano tells us why.
There is no possibility that public transportation will resume operations in Metro Manila anytime soon. This as President Rodrigo Duterte ordered another extension of the ECQ until May 15. Even Central Luzon and Calabarzon regions will also be under enhanced community quarantine. The IATF-EID has tasked the Department of Transportation to come up with new guidelines. This is because they are planning to resume the partial operations of mass transportation in areas to be downgraded to general community quarantine beginning May 1st. Those are areas considered as with moderate and low risk in the face of the coronavirus pandemic. However, public transportation in these areas should operate in a limited capacity so as to comply with physical distancing policy.
Definitely, talagang dito sa GCQ, kailangan ay magkaroon na tayo ng mga mass transport dyan. Alin at kung papaano ang reconfiguration, antayin po natin sa DOTR.
The IATF is considering to allow taxis and buses to resume their operations but only partially. However, the officials underscored that allowing public utility jeepneys to run on the roads again at this point is out of the question. Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugade has earlier said they are looking at allowing occupancy of only 30% of a public utility vehicle's capacity. In a statement, the DOTR says the process of formulating the guidelines for mass transport is underway. The guidelines crafted will be submitted to the IATF for its approval. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A labor group seeks additional assistance for workers who will be allowed back to their work under the new guidelines from the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
With the new guidelines for community quarantine next month, the Trade Union Congress of the Philippines or TOCP estimates around 600,000 office-based workers will return to work. These include workers in the financial service industry, like banking and the business process outsourcing or BPO industry. Also based on the IATF-approved guidelines, 50% of a company's employees may resume their work while the other 50% will remain working from home. Meanwhile, the TOCP emphasizes that workplaces should be disinfected or COVID-free once employees are allowed to go back to work. The workers group is also asking for additional financial assistance like hazard pay for those returning to their offices. And those who will work from home should be provided with necessary equipment like computer and internet connection. The TOCP estimates around 5 million employees are affected by the Luzon-wide ECQ. Of that number, 2 million are office workers. Most of them work in business districts like Makati, Ortigas, and Taguig City. The group is also asking for additional assistance since that the ECQ is extended until May 15. Meanwhile, the Civil Service Commission will release a resolution concerning the new work setup for government employees. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Philippine National Police will implement stricter protocols in their camps, precincts, and ECQ checkpoints. Leah Ilagan explains why.
Police frontliners, almost all the time, are in the streets to man checkpoints and quarantine control points. They assist local governments to enforce the ECQ, while some of them are deployed in quarantine facilities or to do COVID-19 contact tracing. They, too, are battling the invisible enemy. In fact, based on data from the PNP Health Service, 78 police personnel have tested positive for coronavirus. 580 are considered as suspect cases, while 96 are probable COVID-19 cases. According to PNP Health Service Director, Police Brigadier General Herminio Tadeo Jr., 12 have recovered, while 3 have died. In a bid to prevent further coronavirus transmission among CAPs, the PNP leadership will implement stricter protocols in all PNP camps, precincts, and ECQ checkpoints. This is through their biosafety plan. This measure includes issuing quick response or QR codes to all PNP personnel assigned in Camp Crame. The aim is to separate cops who tested positive in the rapid test from those with negative results. Positive cases will answer all the questions asked upon entry at the PNP camps, Those with negative results, on the other hand, will undergo temperature check, according to PNP spokesperson, Police Brigadier General Bernard Bonac. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The city of Cebu will open its second isolation center to cater to coronavirus patients with mild symptoms. This is despite criticisms from the city's vice mayor. Gladys Tuabe reports why.
This is one of the very sophisticated in the entire country.
Cebu City tomorrow will open the doors of this structure designed to become a COVID-19 quarantine facility. It is situated in Block 27 North Reclamation Area. COVID-19 patients with mild to moderate symptoms will be housed in the facility, which was constructed beginning March 28 or 2 days after the city government declared the implementation of enhanced community quarantine. It will be equipped with a negative pressure ventilation system to prevent airborne transmission of the disease, at the same time stop the coronavirus from escaping the facility. It can accommodate 200 beds and hospital equipment for patients to be isolated here, while ensuring compliance with DOH protocols. The structure costs around 100 million pesos, though half of that amount was raised through the help of several individuals and institutions. Based on data from DOH Region 7, Cebu City has 329 confirmed coronavirus cases. Gladys Tuabi, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
President Rodrigo Duterte has just raised the reward money for coronavirus disease vaccine discovery. From 10 million pesos, he has increased it to 50 million pesos. The chief executive also said the bounty could even go as high as 100 million pesos.
The bright Filipinos who are there working day and night, trying to find out how to combat COVID, I'm raising the bounty to 50 million. 50 million ho ang ibigay ko sa grupo because it is a collegial thing, hindi naman sa isang tao. 50 million. Baka pag sa ligaya ko, another 50 million.
The province of Occidental Mindoro records its third coronavirus disease case. The patient is a 66-year-old male from San Jose town and has been admitted in San Jose District Hospital since April 13. He has been experiencing fever, cough, diarrhea, and is suffering from pneumonia, gastroenteritis, moderate dehydration, and urinary tract infection. The patient continues to receive medical intervention in the hospital. The country's health department says that everyone must be serious in observing the minimum health standards as the ECQ has been extended. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
There are health measures put in place which Filipinos are observing amid the enhanced community quarantine. Physical distancing, proper cough etiquette, proper hand washing, healthy living, strengthening the immune system are among those health measures. The aim is to prevent the resurgence or the second wave of coronavirus disease like what has happened in other countries. According to Health Secretary Francisco Duque III, the government should monitor the areas that will be under general community quarantine.
Ay siguraduhin lang po natin na yung mga pamantayan ng kalusugan or minimum health standards ay dapat pong nakatalaga bago po magluwag.
According to the DOH, new normal coincided with minimum health standards, so Filipinos should be accustomed with all this.
Dapat ma-imbibe na lahat na ng mga tao, nakasama na po ito sa pang-araw-araw natin na buhay, nagagawin na po natin yung physical distancing, palagi ang pag-ugas ng kamay, meron tayong cough etiquette, and maging resilient po ang body natin, kailangan malakas.
According to the DOH, the goals for the EZQ extension are to prepare for a wider testing capacity. The target is 28,000 tests per day. Assure the capacity and capability of health facilities to address the medical needs of COVID-19 patients. After May 15, the government should buy time to make all hospitals ready. There should be enough number of ventilators, personal protective equipment for healthcare workers, and additional manpower in COVID-19 referral facilities. Pathways in hospitals for non-COVID patients should also be in place. There should be enough number of community quarantine facilities in coordination with local government units. The World Health Organization constantly reminds countries that the previous normal way of living can't be back unless a COVID-19 vaccine already exists. Meanwhile, the DOH has hired 857 healthcare workers to be deployed in COVID-19 referral facilities in the country. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
While the Philippines has funds, the national government cannot spend all of it on its response to the COVID-19 pandemic that has turned most countries upside down. Joanano clarifies why.
The Department of Finance assures the country has enough funding for the government's various programs to address the Filipinos' needs amid the COVID-19 crisis. However, Department of Finance Secretary Sonny Dominguez explains the country cannot spend all of our funds just for the health emergency. The Finance Secretary explains they also need to reserve funds for the government's other projects and programs such as the Build, creation of jobs and opening of business opportunities so the country's economy could cope with the crisis.
Sufficiente po yung cash natin, pero naiipit na po tayo sa budget allowance natin. So, yan po ang problema natin ngayon. May cash ho tayo, pero wala ho tayong authority gumastos ng ganong kalaki.
The DOF reported the national government has spent about 352.7 billion pesos in its COVID-19 response. Of the 4.1 trillion peso 2020 budget, the funding for COVID-19 is not included as the pandemic is unexpected. Apart from the loans with multilateral agencies such as the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank, the government has also used the tax collection to fund COVID-19 programs. But the Finance Department explains that we are struggling now as the tax collection decreases because of the health crisis. According to President Rodrigo Duterte, they were forced to delay some projects under the Build program just to manage the limited fund.
So ngayon, pagdating ng COVID, tanggalan ko yan ng mga proyekto dito sa highways. Yung highway dyan, wala na muna yan. Sabihin ko kay Tugadi, huwag na muna yan. Minus yan, minus. Lahat para makapag-ipon at kinuha na yung budget na yung regular budget sana kung walang COVID.
Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases recommends to open school year 2020-2021 in September, or about more than 2 months from now. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
After conducting health studies, the Interagency Task Force arrived at a recommendation of starting the school year in September as approved by President Rodrigo Duterte.
Consider for 100% closure, sarado pa rin po. Bagamat nasa ilalim na ng GCQ, ang mga eskwelahan, ang rekomendasyon po na inapruba naman ng Presidente, magbukas ang ating mga klase ng Setyembre. Pinakamaaga na po yun, except sa mga online learning.
Under the guidelines of general community quarantine, higher education institutions may finish the school year and give credentials to students. Republic Act 7977 states that opening of classes should be done within the first week of June up to the last day of August. But according to NEDA Secretary Carl Chua, they will still wait for the presentation of the Department of Education.
Gusto pong iparating ng DepEd ay magpe-present pa po sila sa IATF ng kanilang recommendation para sumunod po tayo sa batas. Anyway po, hanggang end of August pwede naman po. So, hintayin na lang po natin ang DepEd para mag-present at yung IATF magsasabi kung policy na po.
DepEd Secretary Leonor Briones has previously mentioned that consultations done with various sectors show that they are in favor of opening classes on August. Briones also mentioned that the IATF recommendation and the decision of the President will also have an effect on the final result of the opening of classes. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
President Rodrigo Duterte warns of declaring martial law if the communist rebels will continue with their lawlessness. This after the insistence of attacks by the new People's Army on the response and relief operations of the government forces amid the COVID-19 crisis, particularly in Aurora Province and Paquibato District in Davao City. According to the president, he will try to resolve the problem with the community group in 2 years' time.
Kaya I am now warning everybody and putting notice sa armed forces pati police. I might declare martial law and there will be no turning back.
The Quezon City Police District has filed charges against Police Master Sergeant Daniel Florendo Jr. at the Quezon City Prosecutor's Office through an online inquest. Florendo is the police officer who shot and killed retired Private First Class Winston Ragos at a checkpoint in Maligaya Drive, Barangay Pasong Putik, Quezon City last April 21. According to QCPD Criminal Investigation and Detection Unit Chief Police Major Elmer Monsalve, Florendo is facing a homicide case. Florendo was disarmed after the shooting incident.
The World Health Organization for Europe refutes the hypothesis there is link between nicotine and less chance of getting COVID-19. June Garin explains why.
A recent French study suggests that active smokers are protected against the SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19 infection, according to a press release from various institutions. But the head of France's National Health Agency, Jérôme Solomon, has pointed out the nicotine link is only an unproven hypothesis at this stage and needs absolute confirmation. He even warned that smoking remains the #1 killer in France, with 75,000 people who die of smoking-related complications each year. The nicotine link is also refuted by the World Health Organization European region.
Cigarette smoking is certainly a factor that may contribute to more severe COVID-19 disease. Smoking may be much more linked to lower lung functionality and therefore make people more susceptible to a severe form of COVID-19.
Meanwhile, the French government will partially lift lockdown restrictions on May 11. Bars and cafes will remain closed, but shops will be allowed to reopen, according to the French authorities. Cafes and bars where people tend to gather and mingle would remain with shut doors until at least mid-June. WHO Regional Director for Europe, Dr. Hans Kluge, warns countries in the continent about lifting social distancing measures.
Complacency could be our worst enemy at this time. We cannot permit ourselves to believe we are secure and safe. Any step to ease social and physical distancing measures must be carefully considered and gradually undertaken.
June Garin, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
In search of cure for COVID-19, scientists and researchers in the United Kingdom participate in a vaccine trial optimistically. Jovic Burmas tells the story why.
Scientists in Oxford began clinical trials of a potential COVID-19 vaccine on Thursday, as other vaccine developers across Europe also stepped up work on experimental shots against the disease. 2 volunteers were injected. They are the first of more than 800 people recruited for the study. Edward O'Neill and Elisa Granato received a shot of Chadox 1 and COVID-19.
You have to trust in that the work has been done as best they can, and know that the cause is important. And so you just have to walk in faith in that.
Since I don't study viruses, I felt a bit useless these days, so I felt like this is a very easy way for me to support the cause. Yeah, and that's why I'm here, and I'm excited.
As many as 100 potential COVID-19 candidate vaccines are now under development by biotech and research teams around the world. At least 5 of these are in preliminary testing in people in what are known as Phase 1 clinical trials. The Oxford scientists said last week that large-scale production capacity was being put in place to make millions of doses of the shot. Sarah Gilbert, professor of vaccinology, University of Oxford, is optimistic the vaccine is going to work formally.
We are testing it in an efficacy study, and we have to find out if it works. There's absolutely no suggestion we're going to start using this vaccine in a wider population before we've demonstrated that it actually works and stops getting people infected with coronavirus.
The vaccine is made from a weakened version of a common cold virus known as an adenovirus from chimpanzees that has been modified so it cannot grow in humans. Jovic Bermas, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
On March 15, the Honduran government put into place lockdown measures to stem the tide of coronavirus cases. Schools were shut, public transport stopped, and the country's borders closed. Now families living in poverty rely only on food rations. Beverly Saison will tell us why.
While lockdowns are designed as a way to help halt the spread of the coronavirus, families in impoverished Honduras are concerned the tough measures will only aggravate poverty in one of the poorest nations in the Americas. Before the pandemic, official reports put 62% of Honduras' over 9.9 million population as living in poverty. Perla Marisol Maradiaga lives on the street with her 2 children. They collect water from drain pipes running into streets and rely on the generosity of strangers for food. Iris Yolando Murillo makes tortillas to make ends meet, but as a mother of a child with special needs, she struggled to cope with scarcity of products and rising prices under lockdown. Soldiers have been deployed to distribute food aid to vulnerable families across the country. According to officials, the food aid will go out to millions of families who cannot go out to work because of quarantine measures. According to the Honduran government, there have been more than 500 confirmed cases of coronavirus so far, with 47 deaths. Beverly Saison, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Ecuador's health minister says more coronavirus infections have occurred than actually recorded in the country. Chris Perez details why.
Ecuador's Health Minister Juan Carlos Ceballos said on Thursday the country's coronavirus case total was twice as high as previously confirmed. This as authorities added 11,000 new infections that resulted from delayed testing.
It is clear that when more cases have been tested, the number of positives will increase. That's obvious.
With 560 confirmed deaths, the outbreak has ravaged the economy of the oil-producing country. Cases have also overwhelmed sanitary authorities in the largest city of Guayaquil. Here, corpses remained in homes or for hours on the streets. Minister Juan Carlos Ceballos said the government would add the new cases to the confirmed total of 11,183 infections on Thursday. Almost 24,000 test results were pending, according to the health ministry's figures, and on average, they take a week to process. Ceballos said authorities were also calling relatives of people who had recently died in Ecuador to check whether the disease had coronavirus symptoms, as many deaths were not linked to the disease due to a lack of testing. Last week, the government said during the first 15 days of April, authorities registered 6,700 deaths in Guayaquil's surrounding province of Guayas, against an average of 2,000 deaths in January and February. Chris Perez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Is it possible that people really rely very much on the internet as everyone expects a new normal in months to come? Mon Hokson clarifies why.
Experts say there will definitely be huge change in our lives, even after the enhanced community quarantine is lifted.
Yung habits, mawawala na yung mga comfort zones, and that you have to accept. That you have to accept that paradigm shift. medyo yung comfort zone ay mako-compromise.
According to Josephine Aguilar, a Filipino sociologist, the internet will play a big role in the new norm in our daily lives. When it comes to schooling, online learning will be the new normal.
So kung ano yung mga problema na mangyayari sa online classes, kailangan ma-address yun. Example, intermittent, internet connection. Ang mahirap nito kung yung tao ay walang internet, walang gadget. That is what people has to do now.
Even in religious gatherings, services will be done online in order to observe social distancing measures. Businesses that offer online services will also be in demand. Due to the implementation of the ECQ, many people will resort to buying their needs through online shopping. Many entrepreneurs have already adjusted and offer online services as early as now. Be it grocery needs, fast foods, all you need is access to the internet to buy essential items. Even employers will adapt the work from home scheme. A stable internet connection will be fine and you can work right in the comfort of your homes, doing all your tasks your boss tells you. Online clinic consultations will also be a new norm to limit frequent hospital visits to avoid contracting viral diseases. Ms. Josephine added that Filipinos will not have a hard time staying at home, but their needs must be provided by the government. But it is still important for people not to rely on the government alone. Instead, they, too, must exert effort to sustain their needs.
Ngayon, talagang ang mga tao masasaid because of this situation. So living a simple life.
Because living a life online will be in demand, many are hoping to avail better internet services from telcos. The Philippines is one of the countries in the world with the most expensive and slow internet connection. Monhokson, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A Syrian refugee who calls London his second home is playing it forward by serving as a cleaner in a local hospital after receiving training. Nina Armilio tells us why.
Award-winning filmmaker Hassan Akkad, a refugee from Syria, is not working on any films nowadays. Instead, as soon as coronavirus hit the UK, he signed up to work as a hospital cleaner. Equipped with protective gear, he keeps himself busy as a frontline hero at Whipps Cross University Hospital. This, for him, is his part in the fight against the pandemic in his adopted home, East London, and to pay it forward. One of the patients who had seen him clean her ward even thanked Hassan for his contribution in saving the lives of Londoners. As insignificant it is to others, for Assad, being a hospital cleaner is as important as any other job inside the health institution.
It's sad that we had to have a pandemic for us to start recognizing how valuable the cleaning and portering job is at hospitals, because these people weren't that valued before then.
Many agree and even thank him for how he went out of his way and became one of the people putting their lives in line for others. He says he wants to tell hundreds of stories he's seeing and witnessing on a daily basis in the hospital where he works, from the patients he interacts with and from the people he works with.
I am gonna keep doing this job until I can physically and mentally be able to, no matter how long it takes. And when this is done, I'm a storyteller, and I do want to tell that story.
Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Markasang Bahay, we are at a time when the country is under a state of health emergency. The cooperation of all Filipinos is imperative to avoid the deadly virus. We are calling on everyone to be calm.
And most importantly, let us join together in prayer for our country and for the whole world to survive this crisis. You may join us in our daily UNTV community prayer at these hours as flashed on your screens. And those are the reasons behind the news. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And I am Angelo Castro III. Because we need to know, we will always ask why.